This is Soul Mechanics, practical tune-ups to be a healthy human, and I'm your host, Kate Foley. What is sacred? What does that word mean? In the past, words weren't used with so much fluidity as they are today. I've heard people describe their bedroom as sacred, or their family dinners as sacred, or even a chocolate bar. I've described certain brands of potato chips as sacred. And although it's fun to use words with fluidity and creativity, we've lost touch with the actual sacred. I'm not lecturing on the use of words. I think it's great that language can be so flexible. But when we've lost our relationship to words with such vital meaning, we've got a problem. Something I've noticed over the last decade is that people are generally and genuinely hungry for the sacred in their lives. When I hear people describe their seemingly full life as empty, or when I see someone who, by this culture's standards, has it all, constantly pile more things onto it, I begin to think there's a non-material void. The stuff we're compiling just isn't enough. So what is enough? Our thirst for the sacred appears in our behaviors: addiction, obsessions, idiopathic pain, physical violence, verbal assaults, severe judgment, feeling lost, materialism, practitioner jumping, attending multiple self-help workshops in search for answers, and much, much more. These behaviors are becoming the norm. A search for answers isn't a bad thing, but when it consumes your life, wallet, and relationships, this is an imbalance. I read a lot of mythology, which includes anthropology. I'm a little obsessed with it. A theme that comes up again and again in these books is sacred ritual and philosophy. It doesn't matter which culture or where people lived, each group of people was deeply involved with the sacred. Many cultures were in love with the land and elemental representations of the land and nature. Many cultures had a dialogue with the elements: the rocks, the wind, water, the trees, hills, volcanoes. Even in Christianity, there was always an involvement with the land. Over the last 50 to 100 years, we've become so deeply immersed in science and physical proof, or evidence-based everything. Where does the invisible world enter when we demand that it proves itself? And yeah, I get it. Rational thought has its place. It's necessary and it's a part of our brains. There's a need for this grounded approach. We've made incredible discoveries about our bodies, our health, the way the world operates on a physical level, on a quantum level. But we're still so invested in the mechanical aspects. We've separated the components out, we've extracted what we think works, and we've stopped looking at the whole system. It is to the exclusion of the invisible world, for which thousands of years has been an instrumental part of our functional lives. The integration of the sacred in our lives is a part of our health. It's a part of our psyches. It's a part of us being whole. The invisible world connects us. Listen, allopathic medicine has made great strides in helping us with bacterial infections and broken bones and wound healing, among many other notable circumstances. But we are not well. Take a look at the violence in our society. Take a look at the chronic illnesses, mental illness, levels of pain, toxic substances in our water and air. Take a look at our desire for fame and attention. We are starved for the sacred. This isn't necessarily about church. Religion could be a wonderful way to connect to the sacred, but church isn't the definitive answer to our malnourishment. I've seen people dedicate themselves to services every Sunday, adopt a family for Christmas, and then drive like a homicidal maniac on the roads, cut people off in the grocery line, and laugh at a local teen suicide. I could go on about that one, but you get my idea. We all know this type of behavior. We've all either seen it or known someone who justifies their duplicitous behavior by going to church every Sunday. That's not sacred. I've traveled around the world and walked in beautiful ornate temples in China, or Celtic altars in the middle of forests in Ireland, or Table Mountain in South Africa, or tiny wooden chapels in Maryland, or grave sites anywhere. All are clearly sacred. Sacred sites and rituals bring us to our knees and silence us. They remind us of our smallness and our need for something greater than ourselves. Inviting the sacred into your life does not mean that you give up who you are. But once you become acquainted with the sacred, you want to give up who you are. It's a choice. Your life changes. You sacrifice a dense, rigid view of the world and gain a clear and fluid attitude. You begin a new dialogue, a new perspective, a new relationship. The sacred requires you to open your eyes and ears, not your physical eyes, but your first eyes, the innocent, curious eyes, the eyes that aren't looking at the clock, your schedule, or the physical world, the eyes that are open when you're sleeping, the eyes that don't blink, the soft eye, the one that's always watching, observing, and not judging, the eye that sees a luminous pink cloud hovering over the evening horizon and sighs in veneration. That moment is timeless, and so is the sacred. The sacred commands our hearts into action. It connects us. It doesn't separate us. The sacred demands reverence, respect, admiration, and awe. The sacred is always waiting for us to turn toward it. It is always listening to our anguish and our joys. Once you know the sacred, you'll never turn back. This is Kate Foley. Thank you for listening.